Hello, everyone. Trace Trulka with Adam Eaton. We're happy to welcome into conversation UCF Vice President and Director of Athletics, Terry Mohajir. Terry, glad to have you with the Sons of UCF.
Trace, Adam, good to see you. You guys doing okay? I don't think I've ever done your show before, have I?
First time, long time. Yeah.
And looking forward to the next time, but we're glad to have you here now.
We've done it one time. I've done it one time.
We've interviewed you, but not on the context.
No, but not on your show, though.
Not on the show.
Well, thanks for having me on.
Every week. You're welcome. Every week we take questions from Knight Nation in a mailbag segment, and one that was directed to us this week, I kind of wanted to get your impression of from @CaptVeej1. He says, lately, everything to do with college football hinges on NIL and funding. I have fan fatigue. I currently find little joy in news about UCF. What's your reaction to that? How do you continue to find the joy as a fan?
I understand it because that's all we've talked about in the last almost 2 years is, budgets, payroll, collectives, and how to fill out your roster. It's a very transactional time in our space right now. And I totally understand that. And I think one of the things that as I evaluate myself, we evaluate our leadership team, our coaches. We're going through an assessment right now, an internal assessment. Also, we're going through. We did a survey with our whole entire staff. I look at it right now that we're at halftime, and we need to make some halftime adjustments. And I think part of that is the narrative that we're projecting to our community, our fans, about what's the most important. We know that the landscape of college athletics has changed. And we have to embrace it. And quite frankly, I'm kind of excited about it because to me, I see progress over perfection is what I like to call it. And I see like there's a lot of really positive things that's going in the right direction that we can get back to. What's the most important thing is academic pursuit and postgraduate success. We have a event every year about this time where we welcome all the new student athletes, transfers, freshmen, everybody that's coming here to UCF to play sports. And one of the things they asked me to come speak to them, one of the things I talked about for about 15 minutes last night is about the opportunity to use UCF athletics as a service, use the services to help you with your postgraduate pursuits. We know that most of our athletes that participate here will not be playing pro. Those percentages don't change. So we have to double down, and we have to continue to keep our core principles relevant. Is come here, get an education. I say, why do we come to school? Get an education. Why do you get an education? To get it, everybody says, to get what do you get when you're trying to get an education? What are you trying to get? They say degree. Well, once you get your degree, what do you try to get after that? Everybody says a job, right? That's why you come here. So your 4 to 5 short years here is the pursuit for postgraduate success. We got to continue to talk about that. One of the things, the narratives that I'm learning, even in the last 6 months, talking to a lot of recruits, is that's still really important to people. Yeah. Do they want to get paid? Absolutely. Do they want to experience in some NIL opportunities? Absolutely. But they know there's only a certain amount of, guys that will never have to work again after they get through playing their pro careers. And so being prepared, even if they get a cup of coffee in the NFL or the NBA for 3 years, they're still going to have to get a job. So our 100% job placement program is really at the forefront of what we're trying to do from a leadership matriculation through our athletic department. And so fans like, I didn't catch his name. I think it was a Twitter handle or whatever. Fans like that can at least be somewhat comforted that we do have a plan for all of our athletes, and that's different than any other school in the country. And I think that's what's made UCF great, and why I love being here, because we can do things differently, and we can have a different message, and we can be very successful on the playing surfaces and in life and postgraduate pursuits if we just have a little bit of a different mindset.
When last we spoke at Big 12 spring meetings held in Orlando, we were on the cusp of the House settlement being finalized. Now finalized. Why is it good for UCF?
Well, I mean, I think it's good for college athletics because it takes us out of the wild west time, and I think it level sets and it brings rules. I mean, these rules are protected by this House case, federally protected, so we're allowed to have rules now in place, and we're going to abide by the rules, and most schools will abide by the rules. And a bunch of the ADs were here in Orlando last week. Our FBS AD Association were here, had a lot of ADs stand up and talk about, this has been really helpful. This House case, it's not the wild west. At least we have some rules. We have a cap management with LBI process. We have a real NIL process with Deloitte for a clearinghouse, and then we're allowed to share our revenues with our athletes. And I would say, I'd say 95% of the athletic directors in the country would agree that sharing our revenues with our athletes, and I would say people in the media and the fans would also agree with that. But now there has to be some type of rules, and we're in place where it kind of level sets everybody's competition. I mean, fair competition is what this country has been made of, and how we built this, economic power. And so it's no different in a little bit of a microcosm of college athletics is, fair play and fair competition is always really good. And I think you'll see that. And I do think that, the last couple of years, you look at how things have changed when you start paying players. Think about this, the last 2 years, the SEC doesn't even play for the national championship. Last 2 years because of the difference in the mechanisms that have been in place with the collectives. The SEC basketball, which has generally not been the best basketball conference, all of a sudden becomes the best basketball conference in 1 year, or have the most, not the best basketball conference, but has the most teams in 1 year. And I think that all is a direct result of rev share. Well, collectives at the time, but it will be rev share going forward. And I do think having a cap is really important. And being able to make triage decisions on how you fund your sports is good too. And so I think it's good for us. I think it's going to level set. I think once we get past this year where everybody was upfronting their collected dollars, I think you'll see a lot more people, being a little more pragmatic about some of these numbers out there. I mean, you look at one school that's in our conference, they're paying a pitcher $1 million, they're paying a basketball player $4 million, they're paying one of our former players $2 million. That's $7 million. Your cap's 20.5. You're going to spend $7 million on $7 million on 3 players. No, that can't happen going forward if you stay with the cap. If that makes sense. So that's why I feel some comfort, and I feel it's good for UCF. Because we got younger donors, and people are coming of age. We got great donors. We got great fans. But, there's only 5 schools in the power conferences that didn't start their athletic departments in the 1800s. And we're the youngest by, I think, 35 years or so. So you know what? We'll get there. The great news is we got 400,000 living alumni, 200,000 live in this market right here. That's fantastic. So we'll take advantage. We'll take advantage of that, and we'll continue to grow.
Terry, staying on House for a second, I'm curious, as you've spoken to your individual coaches, what kind of feedback or perspective have they had on the House settlement, both kind of on the broader college landscape, but also how it might impact their individual sports?
Well, every one of our sports will be benefited with the new rev share model. Little differently. We're adding 74 new scholarships. 60% of those new scholarships are going to be for our women's sports. A lot of those, so like you take, softball, where you have X amount of scholarships. Now she's almost doubling her scholarships, and they're full scholarships. They're not equivalency scholarships. So that's a lot more money. Thinking about paying a student athlete 20% of their scholarships, now she has the ability to pay full. So that's almost like rev share itself, because they're going to use that money to pay for their tuition. So I think the coaches are very excited about it. Of course, everybody wants, outside of their scholarship limits and their academic awards, everybody wants more cash but you only have so much money. So we have to make these triage decisions internally, like where are we going to spend our most money? We're looking at our revenues. Where are most of our revenues coming from? Where's our potential of our revenues? And what's our, when we say what's our return on our investment, I mean, except for really football, your return on your investment, everything else is just a cost. So you're just trying to figure out where's the other most highest revenue potentials, and volleyball, softball, men's basketball, women's basketball. Those are your highest revenue, and baseball, of course, our highest revenue potential. Besides, but yeah, so in our order, it's football, it's men's basketball, and we continue to grow. We've gotten a great return in men's basketball last couple of years. Great return. We doubled our revenues. Baseball's still doing very well. Softball has a lot of games. We make money, and then volleyball does great. We sold out of season tickets last year. I feel like we'll do the same this year. So those are the areas that you're going to invest in cash probably, but the rest will also get scholarships. And there'll be some one-offs like some tennis and stuff like that, as long as you remain inside the cap. And I feel really good about the direction. I feel really good about our plan. I feel really good about our strategy. It's at the end of the day, as we saw in football last year, you can have most money in the country. If you don't bring the right talent in, or you don't have the right people in place, then you're going to have challenges anyway. So my message to my coaches are the most important thing is still evaluation and development. Those are the two most important things. We got to have coaches that know how to develop talent, but you got to evaluate them first. And so those are still huge message points that I'm talking to my coaches about.
Terry,
I'm giving you long answers. I'm sorry, guys.
That's good. No, I love the insight. The week that we're recording this, the Florida Board of Governors announced that there's a new amendment that will allow state schools to use some auxiliary funding. I know it's kind of a new change, so not sure if you've had a chance to digest that yet. But if you have, is that something you think that UCF will partake in the future, or do you have any sort of plans as it relates to that new amendment?
I think our leadership will look at every opportunity that's allowable by any state statute or any amendments that are out there. We were involved in some of those early discussions. That was very helpful, and I appreciate the BOG chair and the chancellor of the BOG had myself, Scott Strickland, and Michael Alford, and our board chairs on a call, asking us questions, really good questions about it. And, I think it's just another opportunity. Now, you still have to have money to spend in your auxiliary funds, but it gives you some flexibility if you need it. And I appreciate the opportunity. I think some other states have complete flexibility. They can use state dollars for athletics. And so everybody's a little different. So I think what our state has done in the BOG, which we appreciate, gives us lets the institutions make the decision on what they want to fund with this color of money, if you will. Excuse me. And we'll continue to navigate through that. Just passed yesterday, and we'll work with our campus about what those opportunities are.
You've been at UCF a little more than 4 years. Help us with some math. What was the athletics budget the day you arrived on campus?
$59 million.
To what it is now?
$59 million. And now it's 100. We just put in for next fiscal year, we submitted our budget to the campus, $121 million.
So it's something you and I spoke about. There's a perception amongst some in the fan base that UCF seems, compared to its conference mates, poor. Is that fair, unfair? How do you perceive that?
I wouldn't say that. I would say that, resources come in a lot of different forms. And we have a lot of resources that other schools in our league don't have. I would say that we are behind in facilities and some of the history and the donors and all that kind of stuff, but doesn't mean that resources are important when it comes to staffing and keeping staff and attracting staff and retaining staff. That's a big piece. And I feel like, I wouldn't say poor, but I would say we're still not where the rest of the league is. You can look at the numbers. who we're recruiting against. And we're not recruiting just against Iowa State and Kansas State, although I think Kansas had a budget of $200 million last year, I think. We're recruiting against Georgia, Alabama, all the Big Ten schools that come into Orlando and recruit. So, I don't look at it as poor. I just think that we're emerging. How about that? We're emerging. And, I don't want to take away from all the great work that we have done. When I got here, we were $59 million budget. And, with the new becoming full share members this year in the Big 12, it's $29 million lift. So that's the difference of being an American to the Big 12 full share is $29 million. So you do the math. There's a lot of great work our staff and has done on generating new revenues, and a lot of people we can't forget about that have invested in us and believed in us. And even through this transition period, still is very excited about the direction of our program and continue to invest and continue to donate. And our sponsorships are the highest it's ever been. And so our ratings are really good. And so, we feel like we're on the right track.
You have publicly said that UCF will fully fund revenue share. Are you at that now?
Yes, we're there. I told you 3 weeks ago with the Big 12 that we had a couple more pieces and we hit those pieces, a couple of fundraising. Good. So we're good.
Have you decided?
Don't forget, we have a 4% increase every year in rev share. So we're planning, but that's what we're planning for is those couple of those pieces that we're working on or over a 5-year plan. And our plan is working. And again, I got to give a lot of credit to the people on our staff that are producing revenues. Mark Wright, Adam Hockup. These guys are high producers that do a lot of great work, and their staffs. So you know what? We're continuing to try to generate every dollar. We're turning over every rock, man, and kissing a lot of frogs, trying to find our prince.
What have you decided about the allocation of the revenue between the sports?
Oh, what do we decide percentage wise?
Yeah.
Or no? I'm not going to tell you the number just because but we've got it down and we're very competitive. And some sports would probably like more and some won't. But I'm not going to share that right now, just from a standpoint of we're still in some recruiting processes with some of our sports. But I feel really good about the direction, and a lot of it has to go to football, and we're in the Big 12 because of football. And men's basketball is also really important and very competitive. And remember, we're still in that time where a bunch of people up fronted their payments before the House case was signed and before July 1. And so we're trying to fund as much as we possibly can.
Will every sport get revenue share?
Every sport will have a piece of revenue share. Absolutely.
Terry, you announced recently UCF's going to engage a new food service partner in Levy restaurants. This comes on coinciding heels of some health inspection reports that were published out there. What made Levy the right partner for you? And as a fan, what can you expect from this change with the new food service partner? Well,
I think having a fresh look, and I've been looking at Levy for a while. We've all been looking at Levy, and we did a national search. We did RFQ on this Adam Hockup, and we had about 8 people on the selection committee, and people from the university and people inside the athletic department. And our food service is not just concessions, premium seats, and all that stuff. It's also our student athlete training table, which is a big piece. To me, that's probably the most important piece from a day-to-day standpoint, because that's our nutrition, that's performance. And I would tell you we probably have as good as any. Now, that was a separate company. We had 2 different companies. We had Southern and we had OVG that ran our concessions. So we wanted to consolidate it. We thought it made a lot of sense to consolidate it and from a business practice. And also, I think we wanted to also just get a fresh look, having somebody, new point of sale. Levy's really good. They're in the market. They're with the Magic. And, I've experienced some really good service there, not only in the premium area, but just in the stands. And so I think having somebody get in a fresh look, and I think our fans, over the years, we've done surveys with our our fans, and believe it or not, we read those surveys. Those are so helpful. So if you have a chance to fill out these surveys, we absolutely read these and we digest it. And that was one of the things that came up with it. We weren't scoring really high on, is just some of the stuff and some of the solutions we had in our concessions and some of our premium offerings. And this just gives us an opportunity. Plus, they're making an investment in us. They're going to give us some upfront money. They're going to have about $8.5 million in CapEx spend to help us fix up some of the areas. That's significant. And when you're trying to build new infrastructure to not have to go raise the money, and you have a good partner willing to also put in funds to help build a great experience for your fans and your patrons and your student athletes, that's fantastic.
Actually leads me to my next question, Terry. You have a very public job, right? You're a very public face for UCF. You're also very accessible. You're on social media. You're out talking to fans. And I see all the time on social media, you get tagged or pinged in a lot of comments, a lot of conversations.
Sometimes a lot of advice, don't you? I get a lot of advice.
Sometimes positive. A lot of times, though, unfortunately, it's on the negative side, Terry. How do you handle all of that noise? And do you ever use any of that to maybe help you form an opinion or maybe make a direction or a change on something you're hearing from the fan base?
I'm not on as much as I used to be on there, to be very candid with you. And the reason why is what happens in my mind. And so I'm just being honest. You guys know I'm pretty honest guy. I'm pretty upfront. I think you become reactive when you read a lot of stuff and you're on social media a lot, and it's hard to be proactive. And I think in the last year, I needed to get my mindset back to who I am as a leader for the department, to be more proactive. And I think news and hearing, if there's legit questions, I think those are all really good on social media, asking questions about, parking or things like that. We have a staff that should be answering that. Or if I see it, I'll forward it to a staff person to kind of answer the question. But listen, it's the nature of the job. And if it's something like, hey, you're an idiot because they ran a toss sweep on the goal line, that's one thing. But if they say, hey, listen, we had a customer service issue at concession stand 5 or whatever it is, then that's something we need to address. And our staff should be looking at that. We have a whole team of people that are looking at that kind of stuff, because there's some legit concerns and some questions that I think you get every once in a while. I just don't look at it as much as I used to be honest with you. And that's just a really honest answer. And I get it, man, for when things aren't going well, that someone has to get blamed. And I can tell you that we have a really good staff, and, we had a challenging year this year. There's no doubt. This is why we're looking at ourselves first as a leader. We're doing an assessment. We're doing surveys with our staff, and we're at halftime. I look at that. We're making halftime adjustments, and we're going to move forward, and we're going to look at, I really feel like, and this is not a cliche, I really feel like we're going to be really strong. We're at the end of the beginning, is how I like to say to our staff. The transition is done. Now it's time. And we went from playing, playing teams in the American, to now playing 10 in football, 10 power conferences in basketball. You're in a dogfight every game in basketball. And you know what? It's no more, hey, we're happy to be here. It's like, okay, what's our next steps? And I think that's the mindset we have. And there are some challenges, though. I mean, the college athletics landscape, you both would agree, right, has changed from 5 years ago. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Our competition has changed. Would you guys agree?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. And so I think that has also been something where I think even us has been like, okay, yeah, we're not playing the same teams we've always played. And, these teams are pretty good. They got resources. And so every week you're in a dogfight. And I think our coaches are adjusting. I just did all of my year-end reviews with all of our coaches. And we try to block out some of the noise, but some of it is probably warranted. When we had the ticket stuff that happened, back in, I think, February or whenever it was, when we were on the brokers. I mean, there were some legit concerns. Some people got some stuff that they probably shouldn't have got. And I quickly apologized because I think it was I think we sent it to too many people. The intention is great. Almost every school in America is looking at that. We just wanted to make sure that our fans were getting the best priority, that when they wanted to come watch games. The ones that were buying tickets and showing up at games, they had the best priority for when we reseat. And I think the intention was good, and I think the delivery maybe wasn't as good. And you make mistakes. And so as leaders, you have to say, we made a mistake. Let's move forward and try to correct it. But, Adam, to your point, I mean, I get a lot of nice comments too, so, I mean, there's a lot of nice things people say. So I guess you read more of the negative stuff, but because you say you get nice comments, but you get a lot of negative stuff too. So, but yeah, is there a lot of people on social media that are pretty positive? I'll ask you guys in any subject
after a win.
Yeah. Besides that, but I'm talking about any news. Or do you see a lot of really positive comments on social media?
No, and it's a fair point there. And I think that's what social media can be dangerous about, right? It can be an echo chamber of folks complaining over and over and over again. And because you have such a high profile position, you are somebody who continually gets some of those messages, whether the sweep on third down didn't work or the light bulb in the bathroom was out or it's, hey, Terry, why aren't we fixing this?
Coffee is cold.
And I know, I mean, on our stupid little small show here, we get comments every now and again. I can't imagine the volume you get and just how you deal with that noise, how you deal with the noise.
You guys get negative comments? You do?
You'd be surprised.
Yeah, about you.
I'll take it for you, Trace. I'll take it for you. But yeah, no, I mean, listen, no one really, here's what I would say. You talk about being accessible. I always believe, whether it's a person that's buying a family pass or my highest donors that are buying suites that have the highest access, treating people with respect and dignity and is really important to me. It always has. And I know my staff gets a little irritated that I talk to people all the time and before games and stuff. There's like, you're too accessible. And I was like, listen, I look at everybody's in a different season of life. And just because you have a person that makes a lot of money and they're very valuable, and we treat everybody unequally fair in my mind. Someone that may not have as much, but scrapes everything they have to buy a season ticket deserves the respect and dignity. And what can happen when you do that, it can backfire on you too, because all of a sudden now that gives you people an opening to be very critical about things that happen. Now, I do think this also plays a huge issue with social media, is betting, because people are very frustrated with when things don't happen in their favor when it comes to betting. I think that creates a lot of issues, not only for people in leadership positions, but also athletes. Athletes feel it too, a lot of negativity. So,
sure.
But I appreciate your question, Adam. I don't think there's a really, I'm going to continue to do what I do, and I'm trying to treat people with dignity and respect, and hear them out and their feelings. And I think we need to listen. Doesn't mean we're always going to do things the way that everybody wants us to do it. But anytime you make decisions, even if they're good decisions, people are still going to criticize it, right? Would you agree?
Yeah,
Would
there's
you agree
never
with
going to be a full consensus
So-
on anything, right?
So we got to keep moving forward.
A couple more before we let you go. When you arrived at
Yeah.
UCF, you spoke about facilities being behind many other universities. In addition to the current construction around the bounce house, what else might be in the works that fans can look forward
Right
to
now,
changes at UCF?
It's exciting. We started a master plan. We did a little bit of it here, very, very small, but we were also working on the new master plan for the whole university. So I didn't want to circumvent that. That piece is done for the university. Now we can come back and look, because there's a lot of land here, but there's also protected land as well. So now that we kind of know that, now we're going to come back to athletics, and we just hired DLR that's going to be doing a master plan with us. And we've already started the process. We've got a really good steering committee that has started our process to looking and reimagining this whole area, Athletics Village. Not only what we're doing with the tower and what we're projecting to do with the Taylor Gehring football operations building, but also maybe just reimagine. We got to build a broadcast room. I mean, 38 million of our revenue every year is broadcast, and we need to look at repurposing our broadcast areas. Look at the video boards. Not to mention, do we want to keep our track? I'm just throwing you some things we're talking about. Do we want to keep the track where it is? We want to make that a soccer. I think we can win a national championship in both men's and women's soccer. I really do. And we want to pull that out and put it in a different location and then start hosting high school meets and making some more revenue. We're really attractive in the February to host track meets from around the country. Do we want to make that better? And so I think we're looking at a lot of different things. I feel like that's kind of my wheelhouse and facilities. And I've been very blessed to be part of a lot of different facility projects. And I've got a lot of really smart people on campus that are helping us think through it. And so we're working through it. I do think that we still have some work to do with football, the football operations center we have now, Wayne Dench, and reimagining that, repurposing that. We just can't do it all. This is where we go back and Trace, we say poor. We're not poor. We're just trying to catch up. We're emerging, I think. So we just got some work to do. I think that's it. And, we're doing it.
With football starting in about 10 weeks, what will game day look like? What's the hard stop on construction that is underway right now on the stadium?
Well, I think you'll see it throughout the year, but we'll have to navigate through for the fans. It's going to be a little bit of a mess. Please, I would just say, be patient with parking. Parking's going to be a little bit of a mess, and plan. And I think you'll start seeing those messages come across in the months to come before the first game. And I think it's going to be great. I really do. I think people are going to be excited when they come here and see all the it's outside my window. I'm looking at the construction right now. It's really exciting. And you can kind of visualize what it's going to look like. And I think people are going to see in the season, you'll see the whole, the steel on both sides. And I think people are going to be really cool. I just wish that the teams that are coming in this year would have been done. But it is what it is. So we'll have it done for next fall. And I think we're looking at even we're making little adjustments here and there. Even our lights, looking at some new light opportunities as well. And so, it gives us a lot of really good opportunities to kind of mold our facilities to what we want it to look like, because we've got a big piece of clay that we can do that with.
I promised you a fun question. We'll let you out on this one. What's Terry Mohajir do in his free time? Yeah, we talked about that. You said, ask me something fun. What do you do in your free time? You binge anything? Catch any good movies? Reading a good book?
So I try to work out. I haven't been very good at that lately. I try to get 30 minutes in a day. I haven't done a really good job. I'm taking a vacation this year with my family. My daughter just graduated from college, and my other daughter's in grad school in New York. And so it's probably the last time we'll be able to do one as a family. My son's going to be a senior in high school, and he's going to start taking visits to places. And so it probably is going to be the last time we do it as a family. We'll get everybody together because everybody's going to start working. And then my son's probably going to have football in the summer and all that kind of stuff. So, I think just being with family. I play golf when I have to, and I'm okay. But it's not like, hey, I've got off today. I'm going to go play 5 hours of golf. That's not something I usually do, but I love playing golf with people and being around people. So so if I can do that, that's good. But, I think that's it. That's probably, that's what I do for fun, I guess. It doesn't sound like much fun.
No, You're a busy guy. UCF Vice President.
Well, no, it really is. I mean, it really is. I mean, think about it. I'm sorry, Trace, but it is. I mean, we're programmed, and I try to hit as many games as I possibly can or throughout the year. I want our athletes to, feel that they're supported by us and our administration. And I try to go to as many games as possible. I do want to just mention something about, you asked the question about rev share as every sport can participate. I mean, in a form of scholarships, that is rev share. That's the new rev share, or academic awards. Every one of our sports will participate. And we're really excited about that. We're really excited about that. I think, and I think we have a little bit of an advantage in some of our Olympic sports that some of those schools don't. So.
Gotcha. Terry, thank you for being with us on Sons of UCF.